Hello, and welcome to Learning Differences Virtual School Option. I'm here today with Amy Oswalt, Head of Global Division and Director of Innovation, the Lab School of Washington. Hello, Amy. Lovely to see you.
Hello, Fiona.
I'm really thrilled to be doing this session because I think learning differences for children, and particularly those who are relocating around the world, are really difficult to find. So it's great that there is potentially a great new option for them. So shall we start first by you just telling us a little bit about yourself and the virtual school and the background to it? Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Fiona. So, the Lab School of Washington is a brick and mortar school that is located in Washington, D.C. We started this school about 60 years ago, and it is primarily and actually exclusively focused on teaching children with language-based learning differences. And I'll speak to those in just a moment. The school was started to help students who were having difficulty learning in a traditional setting. We have been very successful working with students who fit the profile of a lab student. During the pandemic, as many students flipped to virtual, our school did that as well. And we had a lot of trepidation about doing that because we were concerned that our students wouldn't learn well using this format. We were very pleasantly surprised to see how successful this format actually was with our students, particularly with their core academics, reading, writing, and math. So students who attend our virtual or brick and mortar school are students who have what we have called a language-based learning difference. And what that means is these are children who, for some reason, have an unexpected difficulty in one of their core academic areas. Often these are children who have been diagnosed with dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, or maybe another condition such as apraxia. Often we find that our students have ADHD and anxiety as part of their diagnosis as well. So students who need a non-traditional and extra supportive way to access academic instruction, those are the students that we are able to meet their needs of very well.
Brilliant, thank you. That was very clear. And then maybe you'll just run into some of the differences between those different types later on through the questions. So why do you think there is such a growing appeal for virtual schools, and why do you think that's going to be particularly helpful for international parents and those moving for their place of work?
I think that COVID really demonstrated that virtual schools can work. I think virtual schools have existed for quite some time, but they were something that we thought of as a lesser schooling experience for children. I think the pandemic really demonstrated to us that we can do virtual schooling as well as a brick and mortar school. So I think for families who have mobility as part of their, makeup, whether it's the role the parents need to move for work or whatever the situation is, having a school option that can remain a consistent in a child's life is really important for our kids. They are able to access education from anywhere in the world, and our families don't have to worry about moving to a particular location because they need a very specialized service. Our school really then allows families to be very mobile and go wherever they need to go and rest assured that their child's needs will be taken care of.
Excellent. And what sort of age ranges are you catering for?
We are catering for students age 8 to 12. That breaks down in US grades as grades 3 through 6.
Brilliant. And what about different nationalities and native languages? How does that fit into how the teaching's done and whether they're able to join you?
All of our instruction is done in English. So we are primarily focused on teaching our students how to read, write, and do math in English. We do have students who English is their second or third language, and it may not be their home language. And so we are able to instruct them as well. But it's different from a foreign language teaching kind of school. So we are really focused on kids who have been diagnosed with dyslexia, dysgraphia, again, a language-based learning difference. Then we can do instruction in English with them.
Mm-hmm. And for the students themselves, what do you think are the main benefits of online learning? And in particular, your type of students?
The students that we have worked really well with, they have benefited from being in a really small size, a small cohort. They get a lot of personal attention. We are able to individualize instruction to meet their exact academic needs. So they may have needs in reading, but they may also have needs in executive functioning and in organization. And so we're able to address all of those pieces that our children need. Our students benefit from relationships with their teachers and from the other students in their cohort. So it's not this live session for 3 hours a day. And during that 3-hour session, they work with a teacher in a small group. Usually the small group is between 3 to 5 students, and they work on reading, writing, and math. The teacher very individualizes instruction for the students. They work together on how to be a student, how to learn how to be a student, all of those student behaviors that our kids often need very explicit instruction on. Our teachers get to know the students really well, and so they're able to give them breaks and help them identify what they need as a learner so that they have the ability when they leave our program to go to a new program and let them know, like, this is what I need as a learner. This is how I learn best.
And do they also have work that they do on their own, which is recorded lessons as well as the live sessions every day?
We offer 2 pathways for our program. So our core program is the 3 hours of reading and writing math instruction each day. Some of our students have chosen to participate in the core program and then are enrolled in another independent school for the other portion of their day, or their parents have decided to homeschool them for the other portion of their day. And so they take care of all the other kinds of pieces to school. The second part of our program is a more asynchronous piece that we offer families. This provides them with the other subjects, so science, social studies, the arts. We provide assignments and an opportunity to check in with the teacher for those assignments. Those assignments, though, are mostly done in an asynchronous fashion, so the students can work on them at their own pace and whenever that works best for their family.
And what about sort of social things and discussion and fun and, making friends and interacting in that way? How does that fit in the day?
Absolutely. That is very important. And that's why we decided to not provide solely one-on-one tutoring for students. We really recognize that they need to be with other kids. So we keep our students with other kids. We use breakout rooms. They have lots of opportunities to engage with each other. Fridays, we have an hour where we get 2 of the cohorts together that are from, 2 different places, and they spend an hour together online. We open up different breakout rooms based on their interests. So often we have a gamer's room, an art room, and the students can choose and go into those rooms and have some time that they just get to be a kid and talk to each other.
Mm. And how do you see this growing? Because I understand you've only fairly recently started the totally virtual school. So how are you, what's the model for the growth and how do people get in touch and find out more about it?
In terms of growth, this was our first year, and we are committed to staying small initially because we want to do this really well. So we want to ensure that we have students who will work really well with our program. We have an amazing group of teachers who are working with our students right now. And so we want to make sure that whatever we do, we're able to do it really well with our children. We are growing centered more around time zones and creating cohorts in that way. And to get in touch with us, you can email me. You can give me a call on my cell phone. I have a link that I can provide to a calendar, and you can just set up a time and we can join a Zoom meeting together. And you can go to the Lab School website and just learn more about the Lab School in general.
And what about the actual curriculum? So I presume it's your own curriculum, but are you following an American curriculum, IB, or what's the basis of the teaching?
We are currently following an American curriculum. It is highly individualized. So for reading, writing, and math, we are following an American curriculum, but we're really following the needs of the child first.
Which is obviously very important. So can you just tell us a bit more about the situation regarding anxiety? Because a lot of children all over the world, and this will be useful tips for anyone, are feeling anxious. So how do you help overcome that? And I suppose possibly the virtual learning maybe helps with anxiety anyway. Perhaps you can go into a bit of that, and what have you experienced with your children with learning differences? Have they been very much affected by the pandemic, or is it that you're more really reassuring the parents rather than the children? Anyway, it'd be really interesting to hear your views.
It's been very interesting. I'm working in a brick and mortar position currently at the Lab School, and I'm also working in the virtual position. So I've been able to see students in both areas and make some comparisons to both situations. The students in our virtual program are much less anxious than the students in our brick and mortar program. And there's many reasons why that may be. Some of them are that the students who join our virtual program, being at home, I think helps with anyone's anxiety. So students who may have some natural anxiety about going to school and being in a group and having some of those performance pieces, that is completely taken away in a virtual setting. They're able to use the chat to communicate privately with their teacher. They can go into a breakout room and do things that they may not be comfortable doing in a group setting. So really this format allows for humans with anxiety to really function much better. It takes away a lot of the pieces that would normally create anxiety in them. And I think the other piece that I've noticed, parents feel a lot less anxious in the virtual program right now because they're able to see what we're doing. So they have a lot of confidence in our teaching methods because they can join our teaching methods. It makes a partnership with home really solid because they can be part of the lesson. If they want to observe what's happening in the classroom, all they have to do is come and see what their child is doing. So that makes it really clear about what we're doing. I think in the brick and mortar program, parents have some anxieties because they're sending their children off and they don't know what's happening. And no matter how much trust and faith they have in the school, last year they got to see everything because we were all on Zoom. And this year, suddenly we're back to a more normal situation. But that the feeling of how great it was to see their child learning each day, I think has been a little bit of a loss for those in our brick and mortar program.
Mm. And what about generally communicating with the parent and helping them to feel part of the school and their children's learning? And particularly also for new parents, when they're moving to a new location, this is one of the big things that schools help them connect to a new group of people. So on those sort of social and or feeling part of what you're teaching, how do you help? How do you communicate with the parents?
We do our best to communicate frequently with our parents, but not so frequently that they feel overwhelmed by our communication. It's a fine balance. We, when parents enroll into our program, the Lab School comes with a lot of specialists. So we have specialists in speech and language therapy, in occupational therapy, in psych services, in addition to the teachers who have a great deal of specialty in teaching children with language-based learning differences. So our parents are introduced to the heads of all of those departments so that they can start navigating all of the enriching pieces that lab school can offer. We offer our parents opportunities for coffees to meet with each other virtually. Sometimes we have very specific topics in mind. Sometimes it's just an opportunity for parents to get together and get to know each other and set up. We've had parents set up virtual play dates already with children on the weekends. So they really get a sense of that togetherness. I recently conducted a parent survey, and one of our parents said how this is feeling for her family like a brick and mortar school experience, yet they're completely virtual. So we really work hard to make those connections so that our children and our families feel that they're part of something and that they have a place and a sense of belonging. That's very important to us.
And all the things that children like to do, like end of term fun and activities, and then a lot of international schools, they have an international schools day. All those sorts of things, I suppose, will develop the more you grow the school and involve other nationalities and relationships with other countries. Is that how you see it happening? Yes.
Oh, I think that's one of the most exciting pieces of this, that we have so many opportunities to connect our students. And I feel like what a great thing to have happen to a child, to connect at age 8 with children all over. Right now, our students are involved in a project called Out of Eden, and it's part of their writing curriculum currently, but they get to connect with students all over the world and draw maps of their neighborhood and discuss different things. So I think there's so many options that we have to build connections and build some in-person meetings for our students too. That's something that we're looking into. We haven't created any of those opportunities yet because we've been waiting for the vaccines to really be released for our age group of students. We didn't want to promote in-person learning opportunities with a mixed group of children before the vaccines were available. So we wanted to make sure that we waited until things are safe.
Yes, great. Oh, well, it all sounds very exciting. So I think this is probably what you were alluding to when we were talking before about this power of the students finding their tribe. I mean, we've perhaps touched upon it, but perhaps you can give some examples of how you can really see them engaging with each other and feeling that they have this strong sense of belonging.
Absolutely. So some of our students come to us having been in a general education setting and having been that kid, the kid that couldn't read, the kid that couldn't do their math well, the kid that couldn't spell. And suddenly they enter our program and they see they're not that kid. We're all that kid. We can all learn from each other. We all need extra support or a different method to learn. And they see that they're really smart and they have lots to offer the world. We have students who I know will become the entrepreneurs, the inventors, the artists of the future. And being able to learn in a place where there are other people like you is so powerful. Our students feel a sense of belonging with another group of children. It doesn't have to be their neighbor. It doesn't have to be somebody that lives close to them. It could be a student that lives 3,000 miles away, but in this virtual format, they really get a sense of, oh, I'm not the only person out there that thinks this way. And it really helps them feel more comfortable in themselves. And once children feel better about themselves, then they're willing to take more risks in their learning. And that's when we can really see them grow and thrive.
Wonderful. And then how do they sort of transition on to the next age level then? So once they've finished at your school, what just remind us again what age it's up until?
Currently, we are up until age 12. We are considering adding some time beyond that, but currently we stop at age 12. We help our students transition to the next setting by meeting with parents at the beginning of that final year and really helping them identify what will be the next program that will work really well for their child. One of the pieces that we want to teach our children in our program is, as I've mentioned, who are they as a learner, so that when they go to the next program, they feel confident and ready to let people know, like, this is an accommodation that I need. I need to sit close to the teacher, or I need to take a break, and this is how I need to take a break. So we really want to give them the skills as well, so that they can carry all of that learning into the next program, wherever that may be.
And I imagine that it's also very important to help the parents as well feel that they've got all those tools as well, and particularly if they're international parents and moving to another geographical location, that they can slot in and find the right school that meets their needs where they go.
Exactly. And we are able to communicate with if a child is in a dual enrollment situation, we reach out to the independent school or the public school and work with them. If there are learning opportunities that we can share, whatever information we can share with the other parts of that child's life, we want to do that, because we want them to be able to transition into other environments really well.
Brilliant. Well, it all sounds very exciting. So we wish you a great deal of success with that. I mean, I do think it's a great opportunity for people who've been wondering what to do and how they can find a particular type of school that can support their children. So thank you very much for telling us all about that.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you needed to add, would like to add before we go?
I think just thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity. I feel very passionate about the Lab School Global Division and the virtual component, and I really look forward to meeting with parents who have a need for this kind of schooling for their child, because I know how difficult it can be, and we're here to help.
Great, and we'll hope to continue this relationship and update us on what's going on at the school and help to connect you with parents. Thank you so much, Amy, for joining us today.
Thank you.
So in that fascinating conversation with Amy Oswalt of the Lab School of Washington, we learned a lot about a wonderful solution for international families who are moving to another area or want to access a virtual school. And here are details of Amy and her background. And as she said in the conversation, she is very pleased to hear from you. I'm Fiona Murchie, the Managing Editor of Relocate Global, and we will continue to support this stream of information on education and schooling for children with learning differences. And here are the contacts for details for Amy Oswalt, so please do get in touch and find out more. This webinar has been produced by Relocate Global, which is part of the group of Relocate Magazine and Think Global People. There are plenty of resources on our website, including digital magazines and all sorts of information on education and schools around the world. This has been part of the Autumn International Education and Schools Fair, and please do look in and enjoy other webinars that have been produced for autumn this year and catch up on those produced earlier in the year and in the autumn last year. Thank you very much, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon.